June 12, happy Independence Day. I'm Mai Rodriguez for your Midday Report. We'll be giving you the story shaping the nation at this hour. In the headlines.
Pagod na mahalin, piliin at ipaglaban ang Pilipinas. Ipalalim natin ang ating kamalayan, maging mapanuri sa katotohanan. Gamitin natin sa tama ang ating kakayahan, hindi sa masama.
Various protests are held across the country as we mark our 128th year of independence. An unfriendly act, Manila condemns China's ban on Defense Secretary Teodoro and his family. Questions mount over the silence of key figures involved in the drowning deaths of two student athletes of Ateneo. And in the NBA, the New York Knicks move one win away from claiming the championship title. President Bongbong Marcos leads the nation in marking the 128th Philippine Independence Day. In his message, the president stressed that the freedom enjoyed today is not only a historical legacy, but a continuing duty that every Filipino must protect and uphold. Pierre Pastor joins us live from the Quirino Grandstand. Hi, Pierre. What's the latest?
Hi, Mai. Happy Independence Day. The nation is commemorating its 128th Independence Day today with large celebrations across the country, highlighted by the official ceremony here at the Quirino Grandstand held this morning. Thousands of Filipinos gathered to honor and celebrate the country's enduring spirit of independence. The ceremonies began with flag raising and wreath laying at the Rizal Monument, led by President Bongbong Marcos, the first family and other dignitaries. Then they proceeded to the grandstand for the singing of the Philippine national anthem. Government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, the armed forces, students, civic organizations, and private sector representatives all took part in the event. President Marcos delivered his Independence Day address, emphasizing unity, patriotism, and national responsibility. He reminded Filipinos that the freedom enjoyed today was won through the sacrifices of heroes and must be protected by future generations. The president called on citizens to continue working together for national development and remain committed to the democratic values, stressing that independence is not only a part of history but a continuing duty requiring active participation from every Filipino.
Tunay na mga pinuno ayaw nagsasakripisyo ng sariling interes para sa ikabubuti ng bayan. Na ang kalayaan ay dapat na inaalagaan. Huwag po tayong mapagod na mahalin, piliin at ipaglaban ang Pilipinas. Ipalalim natin ang ating kamalayan, maging mapanuri sa katotohanan. Gamitin natin sa tama ang ating kakayahan, hindi sa masama.
The program also featured a grand parade by the Armed Forces of the Philippines showcasing state-of-the-art military equipment. There were also performances celebrating the country's rich Filipino culture heritage, with the president standing after the powerful rendition of Ako Ay Pilipino. Mai, as the Philippines is celebrating this 128 years of independence, we should all be reminded that we should preserve our liberty, unity, and national identity. Mai?
Here, amid the Senate gridlock, the question is, who stands with the president? Is it Alan Peter Cayetano or acting Senate President Win Gatchalian?
It was acting Senate President Win Gatchalian beside the president. Mai.
Thank you. Pierre Pastor, live from the Quirino Grandstand. Vice President Sara Duterte also led Independence Day celebrations at Rizal Park in Davao City. She delivered a keynote address emphasizing that corruption undermines freedom by denying people opportunities for progress.
Freedom is never permanent unless it is defended. Sovereignty survives only when a people refuse to surrender it. Hope survives when citizens refuse to accept bad governance as their destiny.
Earlier, the welcome message from Davao City Mayor Sebastian Baste Duterte was delivered by Vice Mayor Rodrigo Rigo Duterte II. In his message, Mayor Duterte said that while earlier generations fought for liberty using pens, bolos, and muskets, today's Filipinos are called to defend it through education, civic responsibility, good governance, and active citizenship. As the country marks Independence Day, pro-administration groups took to the streets to voice their opposition to what they described as China's continued aggression in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. We now go live to Andrea Salve from Pasay City. Andrea, kumusta dyan?
My participating groups expressed strong opposition to any attempt to assert control over Scarborough Shoal, also known as Bajo de Masinloc. These calls were made outside the Chinese embassy in Makati. They condemned China's continued assertion of the so-called 9-dash line, which they said lacked sufficient basis. The groups also cited the continued presence of Chinese vessels in the West Philippine Sea and alleged incidents of aggressive blocking, harassment, bullying, and the use of water cannons against Philippine vessels and fishermen. The organizations further voiced their opposition to the construction or placement of any Chinese structures in Bajo de Masinloc, saying such actions threaten the livelihoods of Filipino fishermen who depend on the area's marine resources. They warned against a repeat of what occurred at Panganiban Reef or Mischief Reef, where an initial presence eventually developed into a large-scale artificial island and militarized facility. The participants called for any attempts to establish structures within the Philippines' EEZ to be opposed and addressed in accordance with international law, including the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and the 2016 Arbitral Award. The organizations emphasized that BDM remains an important part of the nation's history, natural resources, and the livelihood of Filipino fishermen, and should be protected for the security, dignity, and future of the Filipino people. The groups ended their call by urging Filipinos to remain united, vigilant, and resolute in defending the country's maritime rights and national interests this Independence Day. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you, Andrea Salve, reporting live from Pasay City. Tensions briefly flared in Manila on Independence Day as protesters and police faced off along Calao Avenue over access to the area near the U.S. Embassy. Kumuha tayo ng detalye kay Chill Emprido ng Abante. Chill, pakikwento sa amin ano nangyari?
May bahagyang nagkaroon ng tensyon sa pagitan ng pulisya at mga relihista sa protestang ikinasanga ng iba't ibang grupo. Dito yan sa bahagi ng Calao Avenue sa Maynila ngayong araw ng Kalayaan. Pinilit kasing tanggalin ng grupo ang metal barrier na nakaharang sa eastbound at westbound lane ng Calao Avenue Corner, Bocobos sa Maynila. Ayon kay MPD District Director, Police Brigadier General Attorney Arnold Santiago, kaya hinarang sa unang pagkakataon ng metal barrier sa kalsada ay para hindi na maulit pa yung nangyari noong May 1 kung saan nagpang-abot ang mga pulis at relihista. Bagaman sapat ang nakadeploy na security sa paligid, mas hinigpitan nila itong pagbabantay sa lugar. May mga naka-standby na mga fire trucks sa paligid at mga ambulansya. May kinunda naman ng grupo ang pagharang ng PNP ng metal barrier sa kalsada. Ayon sa grupo, tinanggalan sila ng kalayaan para magtungo sa US Embassy para tutulan ang lumalawak na military operation. Kabilang na nga itong paglalagay ng missile system o itong PAC Silica project. Samantala May, as of 11:37 kanina ay tinapos na ng grupo ang kanilang programa at protesta at maayos na umalis sa Calao Avenue. Hindi naman muna tatanggalin ng MPD o ng Manila Police District ang metal barrier na nakaharang sa kalsada hanggang mamayang alas 5 ng hapon. May?
Maraming salamat, Chill Emprido, nag-uulat. Hundreds of applicants flock to an Independence Day job fair offering local and overseas employment opportunities. Che Sulit is on the line for the details. Che, go ahead.
Mai, this Independence Day offers new opportunities for job seekers. Every year, SM Supermalls, the Department of Labor and Employment, and local government units collaborate to help Filipinos find jobs. Here at SM Mega Mall, the Public Employment Service Office of Mandaluyong says 38 local companies and 8 overseas recruitment agencies are participating in the job fair, with many positions available for immediate hiring. The DOLE says hundreds of individuals have already arrived as of 11 a.m. today. For the applicants we talked to, some of them mentioned their interest to work abroad. They said opportunities outside the country will help them with career growth as they develop their skills further. Employers, for their part, are optimistic about finding qualified candidates to fill their manpower requirements. To make the application process easier, government agencies such as PhilHealth, SSS, and the Bureau of Internal Revenue have also set up assistance booths at the venue. Job seekers can process registrations and secure some of the documents needed for employment on the same day. The job fair remains open until 5 p.m., with a steady stream of job seekers continuing to arrive throughout the day. Mai?
Che, when will the applicants know if they've been hired?
Mai, some applicants will be informed by the employers for the companies they've applied for. Some can get hired on the spot depending on the requirements and qualifications. For those offered a job on the spot, the employers may obtain additional documentation from the applicants and give information on the next steps of the hiring process. They may even receive further assistance from the one-stop shop of government agencies like SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Mai?
Thank you, Che Sulit, reporting. An update now on the Aurora drowning tragedy. Before dreaming of playing in leagues in Manila, promising young athlete Rene Baterbonia trained at Ateneo de Davao University. Now, his remains have been brought back to his second home. Kumuha tayo ng detalye kay Edith Isidro ng Abante. Live siya na mag-uulat mula roon. Edith, naiuwi na ba itong mga labi ni Rene Baterbonia, kanilang prized athlete ito, ano? At kamusta dyan ang pagsalubong dito sa kanya? Alam ko marami ang nagluluksa dyan ngayon.
May narito na sa Ateneo de Davao ang yung maong Ateneo student, athlete na si Rene Baterbonia. Bantay sarado dito ang pulisya at grupo ng SWAT team para tiyakin ang kaayusan at una nang nagpalabas ng advisory ang pamunuan ng Ateneo de Davao University na inaanyayahan ng komunidad na makiisa sa pagpupugay at paggunita kay Baterbonia. Gaganapin ang public viewing sa Christ the King Chapel dito sa Adult Senior High Bangkal Campus mula ngayong araw, Hunyo 12 hanggang Hunyo 14. Bukas ito sa publiko mula 1:00 ng hapon, ngayong hapon hanggang 5:00. At ito naman ang bukas na naman May ang Hunyo 13 hanggang Hunyo 14, 10:00 ng umaga hanggang 10:00 ng gabi. May nakatakdang Holy Mass tuwing 6:00 ng gabi sa Parihong Pizza at habang ang Eulogy Night ay magsimula ngayong araw 7:00 ng gabi. Layunin naman ng aktibidad na magbigay ng pagkakataon ng mga Ateneo community na magsama-sama sa pagbabahagi ng alaala, lakas at pag-asa habang ginugunita ang buhay ni Rene Baterbonia. At samantala naman, naging mahigpit naman ang pamunuan ng Ateneo de Davao sa media matapos maglabas ng guidelines na hindi pinahintulutan ang pagpasok sa lugar ng Ado Senior High Campus simula kinatawan ng media o mamamahayag. Mai?
Edith, after ng viewing dyan sa Davao, kailan ba siya ibabiyahe papuntang Agusan del Sur, yung kanyang hometown? At may petsa na ba sa kanyang libing?
May hindi pa natin nakausap ang pamilya kasi nandito pa kami sa labas at asahan po natin malalaman natin mamamaya kasi hanggang 3 days po ito dito si Rene Baterbonia sa Ado High School at sa Monday or Sunday evening ibiyahe siya papunta doon sa kanyang hometown sa San Nicolas, Talagocon, Agusan del Sur. May?
Maraming salamat Edith Isidro ng Abante Live mula sa Ateneo de Davao University. Local authorities have ordered the temporary closure of the resort where the Ateneo team building activity took place, citing alleged violations of safety regulations. We have Ched Gatchalian with the details. Ched, ano ang latest?
Mai, the Popular LGU and NDRRMO served the closure order to the Hermanos Leisure Farm, the resort where the team building activity of Ateneo basketball players occurred that led to the death of Rene Baterbonia and Divine Edili. According to the caretaker of the resort, around 7 p.m. last night, local authorities went to Hermanos to serve the work stoppage order. The Tipacolo LGU announced as well the work stoppage order for the resort on its own Facebook page. The Tipacolo LGU said after the ocular inspection of different agencies, they found out that the resort had violated some important provisions of City Ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance about safety in seashores and other bodies of water, including tourist destinations. The Bilyonaryo News Channel was able to exclusively take a photo of the order that's effective immediately.
Bale, pagkabigay po nun, effective temporary closure. Sinabi po ba hanggang kailan?
Wala naman kung sinabi kung basta close po.
For those areas with red flags like this, swimming and fishing is prohibited. This is just few meters away from the resort where Baterbonia's group stayed. Mai?
Shed, natapos na ba ng LGU yung investigasyon nila at may definite answer na ba kung may lifeguard on duty noong mangyari yung kanilang water exercises? Because nung press con ng Aurora Police at nung leader ng rescue team, matagal din before nakuha sila Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili from the water. Ang narinig ko mga 30 to 40 minutes, tama ba?
Actually, may around hour before pa nakuha or na-retrieve yung body nila at madala sa ospital. Less or more than an hour. May pagitan din yung pagkuha kay Rene. Una si Rene bago pa si Divine. Now, for the report or the investigation of the LGU, Dipakulaw Mayor Danilo Tolentino told us yesterday that they already finished the investigation. So that's from the ocular inspection up to the submission of the report, which was done yesterday. The said report was conducted by Dipakulaw MTRMO, Municipal Tourism, BPLO, and Coast Guard, and was later given to the NBI as well. We were actually with them while awaiting the report. The said report pointed out in its findings that the resort lacked adequate number of signages, medic, and security guard serving as lifeguard failed to show any proof of certification of doing any lifeguard service. Sa apat na security guard, meron sila. Dalawa doon, yung nagsisilbing mga lifeguard para na rin doon sa resort. Yung isang lifeguard day shift, yung isa naman night shift. So isa lang yung present nung time na nangyari tong incident. And nahirapan siya kasi magkalayo daw yung area kung saan sinasabing nalunod yung dalawang players. Now, according to the Dipakulaw LGU, it is now up to the PNP, CIDG, and NBI to investigate the totality of the incident since na-refer na sa kanila yung report ng LGU. Mai?
So about an hour na nasa tubig sila kasi oo nga, naalala ko, siguro yung 40 minutes na nasa tubig sila bago nagtawag ng rescue. 'Di ba? Kasi there was 10 minutes or 6 minutes before the rescue teams arrived there to actually retrieve them from the water. Ano nangyari before that? Before dumating yung mga rescuers, anong nangyari doon sa 40 minutes na yon na nandun pa sila sa tubig?
Yes, Mai. Nung apat players doon sa gilid ng tubig, So nung una, pare-pareho sila na nahirapan, na stuck struggling in the waters, but the two persons na ay nakaalis. So within those moments, nangyari na rin yung drowning incident. And then yung pagdating nitong mga MDRRMO, sila yung unang natawagan. Sinubukan ng lifeguard muna. Syempre nahirapan yung nag-iisang lifeguard. That's when they really called for the MDRRMO rescuers to help. But ang sabi sa atin, ang unang sinabi, isa pa lang yung nalulunod. So 6 na MDRRMO officers yung unang pumunta. Nung nalaman na meron pa pala na isa pang nalulunod, nagpadala ulit ng 6. So there were a total of 12 MDRMO na nag-rescue. Yun yung buong duration, timeline nangyaring drowning incident. Mai?
Isa na lang, yung drone footage na nakikita natin ngayon, marami ang nakapansin na hindi daw nabigyan ng CPR sila Baterbonia and Adili as soon as they were recovered from the water. Ano ang sinabi ng mga otoridad tungkol dito?
Mai, nilinaw nila yan na nabigyan pa rin ng CPR at trinay pa rin na i-revive. Kasi nung kinuha sila from the water, they were already no longer breathing. So ang sabi, hindi na sila pwedeng i-CPR doon sa gilid ng shore. Kailangan nilang i-transport na agad para madala sa malapit na ospital. So while transporting doon, kinokonduct yung CPR. Kaya yun yung gustong linawin din ng MDRMO na hindi man nakita doon sa footage. While they were being transported, agad-agad ginawa yung CPR.
Okay.
Mai?
Maraming salamat, Ched Gatchalian reporting. Days after the tragedy, the search for answers continues following the deaths of Ateneo recruits Rene Baterbonia and Nigerian import Divine Adili. In an exclusive interview with BNC's The Scorecard, veteran sports writer Quinito Henzon weighs in on the controversy as questions mount over accountability and the silence of key figures involved. Anton Rojas has the story.
Questions continue to mount following the deaths of Ateneo recruits Rene Clerk Baterbonia and Divine Adili during a team-building activity in Dipaculao, Aurora. The tragedy has sparked a wave of investigations and intense discussions about athlete safety, accountability, and the responsibilities of universities in protecting their student athletes. In an exclusive interview on BNC's The Scorecard, veteran sports writer Quinito Henzon raised concerns over the decision to keep Ateneo head coach Tab Baldwin and other members of the program from speaking publicly while the fact-finding process is ongoing.
I think it's inhuman for Coach Tab and some of the other management members of the team not even going to the family of Bobet Baterbonia to explain what happened. I mean, they deserve an explanation from no less than Tab. It was Coach Tab and team manager Epoch who recruited this boy, who recruited as well si Divine. So the promises they made for these recruits to go over to Ateneo, nawala. Their dreams vanished into thin air, disappeared. Those lives are gone. So we need to be able to find out accountability.
Henzon said the silence surrounding the incident has only deepened public interest in the case, particularly among the families of the victims who continue to seek clarity on the events that led to the drowning deaths of the two young athletes. Henzon said the focus should not yet be on assigning blame, but on establishing the facts and determining whether there were lapses in judgment, supervision, or safety protocols.
And I feel some lawyers are involved here. This some kind of a legal strategy that they're employing. This gag order completely makes no sense. And if at all, it strikes at the heart of those who are bereaved and those who are grieving over the deaths of Bobet and Divine.
At the same time, Henzon questioned why individuals who were present during the incident have not yet been given the opportunity to publicly explain what took place, saying the families deserve a full account of the events. He also expressed concern over previous accounts from former players about the program's training methods, which have resurfaced on social media in the wake of the tragedy. Meanwhile, the UAAP has said it will wait for the results of the ongoing investigations before determining whether any disciplinary actions are necessary. For Henzon, however, the most important goal moving forward is ensuring that a similar incident never happens again.
Is Ateneo thinking of some kind of a legal plan to be able to shield these individuals who witnessed the tragedy from telling the truth or bearing the facts. This has actually fueled a lot of speculation from different quarters as to what actually happened. And when you have a gag order like this, remember, this is not a plunder case. This is not a corruption case. We just want to find out, for the benefit of not only the bereaved families, but also for the general public, what transpired in Aurora? What made this happen? It shouldn't have happened, and it couldn't. It should never happen again.
As investigations continue, the families of Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili, along with the wider sports community, remain hopeful that the search for answers will lead to greater accountability, improved safety measures, and lasting reforms in collegiate sports. Anton Rojas, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Let's talk more about this tragedy in Aurora, which has become a national concern. Joining us via Zoom is renowned PBA commentator and sports analyst Quinito Henson. Hello, Quinito. Thank you for joining us today.
Magandang hapon, Mai. At in celebration of Independence Day, happy Independence Day to everyone. And also in the spirit of Independence Day, my appeal is for all those who witnessed the Ateneo tragedy and who participated in this incident, free yourselves from the chains of silence.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's really sad as well that we're talking in these circumstances. Marami ang na-disappoint dito sa Ateneo sa response nila so far, and because of course this is a very tragic loss, and now we're hearing there was a gag order on Coach Tab, which is frankly very disappointing and surprising, and it's day 4 already, wala pa ring a face from Ateneo, a warm body at least to talk to the families. I think ang publiko nakikita nila walang empathy siguro and compassion. Yun siguro ang hinahanap nila from the institution. Yes.
Yun ang hindi ko maintindihan, Mai, no? Monday nga nangyari itong insidente, Biyernes na tayo ngayon, wala pang linaw. There's a lot of confusion, and the fact that hindi makakapagsalita yung coach at saka yung mga players, pati yung management, it's fueling speculation. Ano nga ba? Meron bang ankle weights? Meron bang signs of warning? Tapos meron ako nabasa na si Coach Tab, merong siyang pinahayag na voluntaryo daw yung pagkakaswimming. Ano yan? Swim at your own risk? This is part of a training program. And if it's voluntary, gusto niyan sabihin, kung ayaw niyang gawin, tanggal kayo sa team. Hindi na voluntaryo yan. But we want to hear from Tab. We're not accusing anyone. We're not in a position to accuse anyone. Kasi process of investigation yan . Hindi pa natin masabi kung anong dapat gawin ng Ateneo, kung anong dapat gawin kay Tab. Alam ko, meron ng mga sabina na nabigay ng DOLE concerning Tab because of his work permit. Separate case yun. Pero yung CIDG, yung PNP, meron din daw silang mga subpoenas because they want to find out kung anong nangyari. And they can only get it from the witnesses. Kanina narinig ko yung report ng ating reporter sa Aurora, at sinasabi niya yung mga resort owners, sila ang mga naimbestiga. Wala naman sila dun . They are resort owners, but they were not there to witness the event. If any sort of fact-finding has to be done, kailangan malaman natin yung mga nandun, yung mga witnesses, yung mga players, yung mga coach. Ano ba ang masasabi nila? Kung may gag order, this does not speak of transparency. Sinasabi ng Ateneo, they want to be transparent. They put the team manager Epo Kimpo at saka si Coach Tab on leave because they want to be independent of whatever it is that they are doing in their fact-finding. Pero I think it's inconsequential. Yung pagkaka-leave nila, so what? I think they have to be involved. Yung independence ng fact-finding, if you're going to go deep into the bottom of kung ano nangyari, facts yun . And you cannot be subjective. You have to find out exactly from those who were involved, ano ba ang nangyari. Yan ang tanong ng taong bayan. Do not hide, Coach Tab. Do not hide the players because maybe you're hiding something that you don't want the public to find out.
Well, I can agree, Quinito, that transparency is lacking at this point. But as someone who have followed varsity basketball very closely. You're a fan. I'm a fan. Were you aware of Ateneo's program for the Blue Eagles? Apparently, they've been doing these boot camps for years now. Did this surprise you at all? Kasi marami na ring former players, professional players like si Ali Pete, Paul Artadi. Nagulat din sila na ganito ka-rigorous or risky, and very intensive yung training, military training, yung sa Blue Eagles. Were you surprised?
Well, I am surprised because I'm not privy to anong ginagawa nila doon sa mga training programs nila. But now I'm hearing from different individuals who were part of that program dati, Sina Mamuyak, tapos narinig ko din si Anton Asistio, si David Defonso, si SJ Belanghel. Sinasabi nila, and in their words, itong survival training camp ni Coach Tab, patayan. I don't want to use that word because may nangyari ng hindi maganda. Meron din nagsabi, si SJ Belanghel mismo, sinabi niya, deadly itong training program. Well, what does this mean? A few years ago, there was a player named J-Boy Babylonia who almost drowned because of a similar incident. That should already spark alarm bells. Sandali, ano ba itong ginagawa ninyo? Meron bang okay ito ng mga parents? Meron bang okay ito ng institution? Ginagawa ba ng coaching staff ito on their own without prior approval from parents and from the institution? Now, I can understand why maybe the institution wants to preserve itself or distance itself from this incident because, they want to possibly avoid culpability. But you cannot do that because they did this in the name of Ateneo. They did this in the name of the school and the basketball program. I'm a very big admirer of Ateneo. My friends are all Ateneans, although I'm from a different school. But I don't think partisanship is involved here any longer because I'm reading in social media, Ateneans themselves are questioning the integrity and the logic behind this training program, which, as you said, Mike, is very militaristic in orientation.
Okay, Kinito, I've been reading that we still do not have a National Athlete Safety Act. In the decades that you've spent with the sports community, do you know of any push for a single nationwide law dedicated solely for the protection of our athletes that will put in place at least a minimum safety standards for thousands? Kasi marami tayong atleta all over the country joining training camps, joining strength conditioning, mga team building activity. Meron ba?
Well, at the moment, none. But I can recall that then Congressman Yeng Guiao authored and a bill was passed called the Samboy Lim Law, requiring all high school students to get immersed in a CPR training program. And I think that was also lacking in this case because wala silang nagawa. Well, maybe they fished out the bodies already, they were lifeless. So, but I don't know if there any CPR method was performed. But my understanding is, although this law has been passed in Samboy Lim Law about the CPR mandatory training, my understanding is this has not been implemented because wala daw budget ang Department of Education for this. What? A law's been passed and this has been several years. Wala silang budget and this is so important. Lives are at stake dito, no? Siguro naman, kung meron silang budget for flood control, dapat meron budget for this kind of life-saving measure. Now, as far as your question about training programs are concerned, I think it has now triggered the Philippine Sports Commission and representatives and senators to push for something that will be more meaningful in terms of protecting and the well-being and safety of athletes, particularly with undergoing training programs.
All right,
I think this is going to be happening soon.
Very lastly, before we let you go, because we're running out of time, of course, accountability must be based on facts. No, we have to wait for the investigations to conclude and find out what actually happened. But how do you feel about the response or the statement from the UAAP so far? And do you think that sanctions must be Ateneo must be slapped with sanctions, or at least administrative sanctions at this point.
Well, the UAAP is represented in the Philippine Sports Commission Stakeholders Panel that has been tasked to investigate this incident and dig deep into kung ano man nangyari talaga sa Aurora. So I heard that in a press conference, the UAAP said that at this moment, they will not make any sanctions because if any sanctions have to be made, it has to come from Ateneo. So passing the ball. But because they said that this happened outside of the season and it was not basketball related. But I remember many years ago, involving UST, meron na silang ginawa in violation of the COVID protocols at that time during the pandemic. And it merited a lifetime suspension of their coach, Aldin Ayo. Previous to that, there were also sanctions made on certain schools for playing ineligible players. Remember, those were sanctions given by the UAAP. Now, 2 lives were lost, and UAAP is twiddling its toes and saying, Ateneo na lang, hindi na kami. Dapat naman siguro magkaroon ng some kind of a preventive suspension or maybe an interim suspension to say that dito muna kayo while the investigation is going on. Something concrete like that. Right now, I feel that they're washing their hands, they're abstaining themselves from any sort of commitment to make any sanctions while this investigation is going. I can understand that, but dapat naman siguro makiramay sila and that they show some kind of compassion to the bereaved families. I don't see that coming from the UAP at this moment.
Definitely, Ateneo should do better. All colleges and universities should do better, and we must all learn from this. Thank you so much, Kito, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts.
Maraming salamat din, Mai.
Coming up next, the death toll from the Mindanao earthquake has now risen to 55. That and more news when Midday Report returns. You're back on Midday Report. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro says he respects China's decision to impose sanctions on him and his family. In a statement, the defense chief said this is what Beijing does to those who speak out against its actions. Teodoro said he will continue performing his duties to defend the country. The Foreign Affairs Department earlier condemned China's move, calling it an unfriendly act. The DFA says that while China has the sovereign right to impose sanctions, the decision does not promote constructive dialogue and may further strain bilateral relations. Teodoro has been among the most vocal Philippine officials in defending the country's rights and interests in the West Philippine Sea. The death toll in the Mindanao quake has now risen to 55. That's according to the latest figures from the Office of Civil Defense. One of the areas hardest hit was the Jose Abad Santos in Davao Occidental. Jill Sebandal is on the ground for the latest. Jill, tell us what you're seeing there. How's the situation?
The impact of the magnitude 7.8 earthquake here in Jose Abad Santos, Davao Occidental remains widespread, and some or more residents have been affected compared to some areas in General Santos City and in Glan, Sarangani. From an initial 16 isolated barangays yesterday, the number was now down or reduced to 8. 5 in coastal areas and 3 in upland communities. Based on the latest assessment, the municipality has recorded 37 injured, 13 missing, and 7 dead. Total family of 5,988 families have been affected of this. 2,476 houses were completely damaged, while 2,402 others sustained partial damage. My relief assistance have been rolled out by the Department of Social Welfare and Development and local government units and some volunteers from across Davao region through bayanihan efforts. However, several areas here in Jose Abad Santos remain without electricity, while mobile and communication lines are still down in some communities, complicating rescue and coordination efforts. Government agencies and local responders continue operations to reach affected residents and restore basic services. Mai?
Thank you, Jill Sibandal, reporting live from Davao Occidental. Holding a Bible does not automatically make someone truthful. That was the strong message of Father Robert Reyes in the interfaith group Kingdom Keepers in response to statements made by Senator Alan Peter Cayetano over his continued claim to the Senate presidency. Speaking on BNC's memo, Reyes argued that scripture should never be used to justify political positions or defend one's hold on power. Father Robert also did not hold back when asked about performative Christianity, the use of religious language and symbols to legitimize political actions.
Father, sabi po ni Senator Alan Cayetano, meron akong 3 librong hawak. At isa po dun sa mga librong hawak niya na nag-justify sa pagiging Senate President pa din po daw niya ay ang Bible. Ano po ang masasabi niyo po doon?
You don't use scriptures for self-defense. You use scriptures to find God and to ask for God's help. And not to the extent that you use scriptures to pretend that you are God already. Kaya doon kami na skandalo sa sinabi ni Alan Peter na people doubt me, but God does not doubt me. None of us will say that.
The former dean of the UE College of Law, Attorney Amado Valdez, is urging the Supreme Court to revisit existing rules in light of the controversy surrounding the Senate leadership dispute. Speaking on BNC's Abogado, he argued that public acceptance should also be considered in determining whether incarcerated senators or those facing questions over their status should be included in the Senate's official membership count. Earlier, the Cayetano bloc insisted that the latest Senate reorganization was invalid, claiming it failed to secure the required 13 votes needed for a majority.
The reason why the Supreme Court should be conscious of this political question issue, because as far as social norm is concerned, this is what the senators should be acutely listening. What does the people want? What is the standard of the people? Will the people accept a senator in jail to be voting? Will the people accept a fugitive from justice, quote and unquote, accepted as to be counted in the number 24?
Meanwhile, Attorney J.V. Bautista, founding dean of the John Wesley School of Law and Governance, warned that if the president refuses to recognize a Senate leader, it could lead to a breakdown in communication between the executive and the Senate. Coming up next, U.S. President Donald Trump has canceled a scheduled strike on Iran as peace talks progress. That and more news around the world, plus the latest in sports, when Midday Report returns. U.S. President Donald Trump says he canceled planned strikes against Iran because negotiations are making progress. This came after Trump threatened new military action and raised the possibility of taking control of Iran's main oil export hub. He later said a memorandum of understanding is in its final stages and could be signed as early as this weekend in Europe. Trump says the proposed agreement would prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and would lead to the lifting of a U.S. naval blockade once it is signed. Iran, however, said no final deal has been reached and accused Washington of making excessive demands in the talks.
In the past few days, they again tried to impose a series of unreasonable demands and requests. The Islamic Republic of Iran has certainly shown, both in diplomacy and on the battlefield, that it will in no way surrender to the illegitimate conditions and demands of the other side.
The New York Knicks are just now one victory away from their first NBA championship in 53 years after pulling off the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history. Trailing by as many as 29 points against the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4, the Knicks stormed back to claim a dramatic 107-106 victory and take a commanding 3-1 series lead. The Knicks can now clinch their first NBA title since 1973 when the series shifts back to San Antonio for a do-or-die Game 5. Mexico kicked off its home World Cup campaign in style, defeating South Africa 2-0 in the opening match of the 2026 FIFA World Cup at the iconic Estadio Azteca. Julian Quiñones opened the scoring in front of more than 80,000 fans before Raul Jimenez sealed the victory in the second half. The win marks a historic moment for El Tricolor as it is the country's first ever victory in a World Cup opening match. Mexico faces South Korea next in Group A action, while South Africa takes on the Czech Republic as the tournament continues. Up next, a special treat for K-drama Goblin fans as its original cast reunite for a 10th anniversary special show. That and more entertainment news when Midday Report returns. Stay with us. Taylor Swift fans are buzzing with excitement and speculation as rumors continue to swirl about the pop superstar's upcoming wedding. The singer-songwriter got engaged to NFL star Travis Kelce last summer, and many fans believe the big celebration could be just around the corner.
I feel like she's gonna do the 4th of July parties that she does. I feel like it's gonna be that kind of vibe, like Hamptons, American vibes, American beachside kind of vibes.
As far as location, I'm from the East Coast. I went to high school in Rhode Island and spent time there in the summers, and I've seen her house. So I think it could be there, but I also think it could be in New York.
Rumors surrounding a possible ceremony date in June, potential guest lists, and dream wedding locations have spread widely online. However, neither Swift, Kelce, nor their representatives have confirmed any details. Several outlets, including Page 6, have reported that the couple plans to tie the knot at Madison Square Garden during the July 3 weekend. Over in the K-drama world, fans of the hit series Goblin are in for a special treat as its beloved lead stars reunite for a travel special celebrating the show's 10th anniversary. In the newly released, a fan favorite nearly a decade later, Goblin tells the story of an immortal being searching for a human bride who can finally break his curse. A proud moment for Filipino cuisine. Filipino chef Roda Magbitang has clinched the title in season 23 of the American television competition Top Chef. Her winning menu featured a 4-course meal that showcased her own take on Filipino favorites, including tortang talong, caldereta, and lugaw. Along with a grand prize of $250,000 or more than 15 million pesos, Roda will also be featured in several well-known food and lifestyle magazines. Hailing from Antipolo, Rizal, she currently serves as executive chef at a prestigious restaurant in Hawaii. Her victory shines a spotlight on Filipino flavors and culinary excellence on the international stage. And that's the Midday Report this Friday. Happy Independence Day. I'm Mai Rodriguez. See you again on Monday at 1 p.m. Happy weekend, stay informed, and stay safe.